Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the week 5 edition Sunday Sideline Report here on the Sports Infinity Network YouTube channel. Mike, the old ops guy, and a very angry vice president.
I want to hear it. The season is over. The Rodgers experiment is over. And I don't want to hear it anymore. The quarterback stinks. He's old. He doesn't know how to connect with his current offense. The rest of the offense, they can't protect him. The receiver doesn't know. The big time Garrett Wilson. Yeah, well, he's so good, huh? Can't even run around. Looks fucking confused out there. Brees Hall continues to run up the middle, continues to get stuffed. Al Lazard continues to drop passes like a fucking idiot. This offense looks completely toast right now. Toast. They have no idea what they're doing. And on top of that, once again, this head coach does not have this team mentally ready for this game. And I understand that they're in London. It was a disadvantage from the start. This team does not look ready to play right now. If anyone is watching the Jets, they know they look fucking trash. Look at that. Another pass. This time it was to Braylon Allen. And Rodgers misses him.
Wow.
Allen could have caught that, but he misses him.
For those wondering, the score is 10-0 Minnesota
It's
Vikings.
10-0.
Late
Rodgers
in the
threw a
first quarter.
horrible pass that was intercepted, run back for a touchdown. Terrible play call, terrible pass. This offense looks terrible. And I'm so sick and tired of the people who continue to insult my intelligence when I say that this was not the right move.
Well, Dan's about to go away.
Another interception. I'm done. He is toast. He stinks. And look, the Vikings may be a good team, but this stinks. He is bad. Enough. Put in Tyrod Taylor. Put him for the rest of the season. I'm done. I've
I
had
don't
it.
think I've seen Aaron Rodgers look this bad.
And enough. No more. Well, everything will clean up. No, you fire the coach. You fire the OC. You fire everyone. Everyone's gone. Everyone except Jeff Ulbrich, who has this defense ready to go. Salah's gone. Rodgers is gone. The whole offense needs a massive cleanup. The whole team needs a massive cleanup. And if you're Woody Johnson, if you had balls, you would fire. You wouldn't even send Robert Saleh to the plane.
It's a little extreme. You gotta let him fly home.
No, keep him there.
No,
England
give
can
him a
have.
thingy and make him roll across the Atlantic to get back.
Or you
We'll
turn him
take the
in.
Titanic.
we rise it to sink again.
Aaron Jones runs for
I
another.
am very sorry. That was kind of insensitive. I apologize.
Please be insensitive. You're not
No,
offending
I was being
me.
insensitive to the poor people who would have to go through that all over again, who were still in the Titanic.
I'm so annoyed for this with this club. I'm so annoyed.
And here's the part, Dan, where I do agree with you. Because last week, all I heard was home game, Denver Broncos. That should be a win, and this team should be 3-1 going into this week. This offense scored 9 points against a Denver team that had their quarterback throw for 60 freaking yards. And then this is how you respond after scoring 9 points last week. Defense does its job. They held Minnesota to a field goal. But you're right. The quarterback looks old. The offensive coordinator.
Look, he's sitting right there right now. He deer in headlights. He looks stupid.
The only reason the head coach and the offensive coordinator still are employed is because the quarterback said, "Hey, keep him here for another year while I'm here." And I think I'm going to say this is funny because I'm a non-Jet fan. Remember when the Jets announced that they were getting Aaron Rodgers,
Yes.
and we saw Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall and Sauce Gardner all celebrating? Well,
Justice.
what's going on now?
not to nail
He's
it.
not your savior.
And people insulted me when I said that this was the wrong move. Look how it's looking right now.
I'm going to make this quick because I don't want to soil any more than what Dan has had to endure. Mind you, I'm a Cowboy fan, so this is every week for me. But see, I got Dan to laugh a little bit. See, what
Bring
I'm
back
watching,
Carter.
oh God, what I'm watching Aaron Rodgers right now reminds me of Brett Favre when he went to Minnesota, ended up in Minnesota. He looks rushed. He looks not at all in connection with anybody. His throws are high, they're short. This just looks like a team that is not coordinated enough. No offense, Dan. Sorry.
No, you're not offending me. This team is awful. They're
I
trash.
know. I just don't want you to think I'm taking a shot.
No.
It, when I heard Rodgers was coming, I was like, I'll tell you, I was excited for players like Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson. I thought Garrett Wilson had a chance to be turned into the next Devontae Adams. If Aaron Rodgers was 10 years younger, yes, that's a possibility. The key term here, and it's not his character, it's his age.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the guy who was the MVP twice in 2 years anymore. Yes, he's a top NFL quarterback, but 5 years ago.
Well, I think that's a good point too, Mark, because if you look back at his last year in Green Bay, his numbers were not spectacular. He hasn't thrown for over 300 yards in, I think it's over 20 games now. I think part of this also was the injury last year. But here's the other thing. Remember training camp or mini camp, whatever it was. He took a couple of days to go to Egypt and see the pyramids during mandatory mini camp. Those things matter.
And remember the narrative? Oh, everything will be fine, right? Everything's fine. Everything's totally fine, right? It's all overreaction. And while, yes, that may have been the case, maybe it wasn't overreaction by the media. What's not an overreaction is the cohesiveness of the team, being together, understanding things together.
To look at it from the other side, looking at Minnesota, they don't even look all on the same page.
No,
so one thing you do have
to, like ass too tonight.
One thing we have to take into consideration is they're not in the United States. They're in a foreign crowd on a foreign field that was nice. Foreign field in which they don't know where this part of the field slopes a little bit or there's a little bit of drop there. I don't like it making excuses, especially to make Dan happier, because that's not what it really 100% is. But that does play part of it. You don't have your home field crowd cheering for the home field team in technicality.
But the thing is, that's for both teams.
Yes, I'm saying that it's why it's effect. That's why Dan said Minnesota's also off. It's unfamiliarity. I understand why the NFL is doing these games. I really do, to try to make it more of a world sport. But if you look at all the games that have been played overseas, none of the stats have ever been big because the fields are nowhere like they are in the United States.
You're playing on a soccer field.
You're playing on a soccer pitch, and it's a lot different.
Yes. I mean, the other part is, listen, I'm going to give Minnesota a little bit of a pass, even though they're they're 4-0. They can have this game. Here's the thing for me on the Jets, because usually most teams get a bye week after the London game or wherever you're going. The Jets decide not to have their bye week next week. They're playing Monday night next week against the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, God.
And with Tua being out in Miami, we thought the Jets were the biggest threat to the Bills. Oh, by the way, another penalty. Dan, to your point, that's the head coach. This team's always been undisciplined under Robert Saleh.
It never changes.
It has not changed for 4 years. But back to my point, we thought, hey, maybe the Jets could challenge the Bills. Well, the way the Buffalo Bills are playing and the way this team's playing, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. But, man, so, yeah, Minnesota's up 10-0 right now. Second quarter just got going. Anything else, we will keep you updated. But we'll start the show with what happened on Thursday night, because Mark's hero in life came up clutch again.
I hate this guy.
The Falcons beat the Bucks 36-30 in overtime. And an American hero, Kirk Cousins, 42 of 58, 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Drake London at 12 catches, 154 yards and a touchdown. Baker Mayfield threw for 3 touchdowns in the loss, 2 to Mike Evans, which gave him 100 for his career, his Hall of Fame career, let me add. So, Mark, what did you take away from the Thursday night game? Because I know you were watching it split screen with that in Game 3 in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I had the football game on my computer. I was watching the Mets, to be honest. So I really didn't see the game live. Obviously, I was following it play by play. I hate Kirk Cousins. I will come out again and say I hate Kirk Cousins. I still hate Kirk Cousins. However, hats off to him for the game he played the other night. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I love a good comeback as much as anybody, but when you throw 500 yards, you reach a club of quarterback, and there's only so many QBs who have thrown 500 yards in a game and won. So hats off to Kirk Cousins. I was actually more happy to see that Drake London was used as well as he was. As for the other side of the game, hey, you let it happen. I'm not going to comment otherwise. Your fault.
Well, and that's basically was the talk of the locker room by the Bucs. Like this stuff is unacceptable.
Yeah, not to take away from Mike Evans, who had an amazing game, and for a guy his age still playing at the level he is. There is no way this Buccaneers team should have lost to Atlanta. This Buccaneers team should have won that game. The Bucs suck. They sucked when they had Tom Brady too. So back to Dan.
Well, all they care about is that they want a ring.
Wrong finger.
This is the ring finger, bro.
I know, but that wasn't the finger I was thinking about.
I know, but I'm kind of keep it classy here, man.
All right. Dan, Thursday night.
I barely watched the game, to be honest with you. But here's what I'll say. Kirk Cousins throwing for over 500 yards. Given that this game did go to overtime, but still 500 yards is 500 yards. He was brilliant. A lot of passing attempts. I wonder if the Falcons are relying a lot on the passing game rather than the running game. If they're going to be passing that many times. So that may be a bit of a concern moving forward. It's not really a big concern against the Bucs, but other teams with great defenses, that might be a problem. So, but nonetheless, a win's a win. I thought both Baker and Kirk did a great job on Thursday. Obviously, the Bucks offense wasn't much of a factor in the second half, um, which obviously gave the Falcons life. And and the defense also came through, and they were able to get the job done.
This was a Kirk Cousins special.
Yeah.
He can do this with the best of them. Sometimes he doesn't do it with the lights on bright, but he does this. Mark, your point about Drake London. I think the Falcons have one of the better skill position rooms in the league when we're talking Drake London, Darnell Mooney, who had a nice game.
Yes.
For the love of God, if someone could get Kyle Pitts involved, that'd be lovely. And then they got Bijan Robinson in the backfield, who I will still argue for more touches for Bijan, but that's a whole nother conversation. They have the skill position, and then they have this defense that over the offseason added Jesse Bates comes over.
Yep.
Justin Simmons comes over. And they add this dude named Matthew Judon on the pass rush.
One of the best.
They have all these pieces. Don't take this the wrong way. Remember when Jerry said he was all in?
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? Remember? It's still ringing in my head.
Remember the Titans? Great film.
Oh, always remember.
Arthur Blank realized he was all in when he got Kirk Cousins. Still don't understand the Penix pick, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, well done by Atlanta. They wanted to challenge the Bucs for the division. Now they've beaten them head to head. I'm not concerned about the Bucs, although this is not a good game to choke. But you know what? Baker's played well. They need to figure out some sort of resemblance of a running game. Whether it's Rashad White, whether it's Bucky Irving, whether it's Mike Allstott, I don't care. Run the dang ball at some point.
Mike just said a name that I love, Mike Allstott.
Mike Allstott was the man.
He was fun to watch. He was just fun to watch play.
Yeah, so Falcons go get the win over the Bucs. Go from there. Then we get the big news of the week, and it comes from Vegas. And no, it has nothing to do with Shohei Ohtani gambling again. But Davante Adams has requested a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, we do have news on this morning from Ian Rappaport. The team that has been the most aggressive on the Davante Adams front are the New Orleans Saints, whose quarterback is Derek Carr, who was part of the reason Davante Adams went to the Raiders in the first place, was to reunite with his old college teammate. Mark, what is the best fit for Davante Adams?
Davante Adams, not arguably, is. I mean, it's hard to say. You got Justin Jefferson, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got DK Metcalf. I'm sorry. Davante Adams over the last decade has been the most solid, consistent receiver in football. Aaron Rodgers made him a star. Him going to the Raiders was the biggest, gasp of air that was taken out of me when I saw that because it made no sense. But putting him with Derek Carr, yeah, it never really got going. Now Derek Carr is in New Orleans. Davante, I believe, if I quote it wrong, I'm very sorry, but Davante Adams said during the other game, he has never been hit so much in his life that he's got to get out of here. Meaning hit, I mean, they're focusing on him. Bringing him to another team like New Orleans, with Kamara playing at the level he's playing and that team right now, you might as well just hand them a playoff entrance. The question doesn't become where he fits anymore. The question becomes is who can afford him. because this is not going to come cheap. There are going to be picks, and not just a fifth and a ninth or a fifth and a 900th. This is going to require at least one, if not two, first round picks.
Well, according
And
to
that's my
reports, the Raiders are looking for a second round pick plus.
And I think that's a mistake because I think Devontae Adams is still worth more than that. Obviously, whatever team takes him on, they're gonna have to take that contract, and that contract is hefty. So they'll have to which and five. New Orleans, I would say, is a top three. I just wouldn't count out a team like Minnesota though.
With Jefferson and
And Addison, because of even though they're 4-0, I'm telling you, eventually teams and defenses are going to catch on. Offenses get tired. Bring in someone like Devontae Adams, you're going to give Jefferson a little bit of a break. You're going to give Addison a little bit of a break, and they're going to be healthy all year long.
Well, they're going to have to find a way to make the cap work. That's
the biggest problem. So, I mean, New Orleans, I agree, is probably the right spot for him to go.
Dan, your team's been mentioned because of the quarterback, and I don't know if you want to make the quarterback any happy or not.
I mean, look, it's a massive upgrade over Garrett Wilson. And I hate saying that because there's a lot of promise with Garrett Wilson. There really is. He's such a very skilled receiver. But if you can get Rodgers some help and get that familiar face in the building, again, I don't know if it's going to help what I'm watching right now, but you never know. You just need some type of spark. Either way, like I don't know if it really helps the Jets though. After watching what I'm watching right now, I don't know what's gonna help the Jets. Let's see. I don't know. I'm as you can tell, I'm defeated right
a little pissed off.
So I'm reacting out of emotion,
trying not to ruffle feathers.
So yeah.
Well, here's the thing, because everyone keeps bringing up, oh, well, he played with Rodgers, and he played with Rodgers. That's never meant diddly to me because of this reason.
Man.
You're not just going to hand in Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers wants him. Yeah. The Jets are going to have to give up something in return.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Raiders, if I'm going through a rebuild or a retool or whatever I want to call what I'm going through, I want some young players.
Yeah.
So I would want Garrett Wilson in return. I wouldn't mind getting an Elijah Vera Tucker in return.
Don't say that name. Absolutely not.
No. I'm just saying I'm going to ask for more than...
You ain't touching APT.
Not my point. I'm just bringing up names if I'm the Raiders I would ask for in this deal.
Okay, well, he's off limits.
Well, that's what they've said about a lot of people. But actually, it'd be true to see who runs the organization. That'd be the point. But the other thing is this. I think there's a team actually marking the NFC East who could use them.
And you're talking about the New York Giants.
I'm not, because why on earth would you want to go play for the New York Giants at the moment?
Because it's the only team that could afford them.
No. There's another one.
Dallas is not going to take
I'm not saying Dallas.
Don't you even say Washington.
Washington. It makes so much sense.
Come on, you don't think the Commanders would want Devontae Adams?
I know they would want him. I don't want Jalen Daniels to have him.
Jalen Daniels,
Adams. If you pair Adams, Scary Terry with Jaden Daniels, that's a lethal offense.
And with what Brian Robinson has given them in the run game, Zach Ertz is healthy. The Washington Commanders go from feel-good story to
Mm,
legitimate threat in the NFC.
yeah, like, come on now. It's a good
Yeah,
move. If the
I
Commanders can
I
obviously
said
do it, obviously.
I said from day one that Jaden Daniels should have went overall number one. I said he was better than Caleb Williams. Let's stop there. You give Jaden Daniels Devontae Adams, I will go throw up because I know what that means. I'm not saying it's not the right place for him to go. I just don't want him going there. I think it makes as a football fan, I make absolute perfect sense for a young quarterback to get such a skilled receiver. It would absolutely gut the shit out of me, but you have to look at a few other teams. And the question becomes is how much time does Devontae Adams have left
Well, he's
in the
under
league?
contract for the next 2 years.
So it's at least a 2 year deal wherever he goes. The
Yeah,
question becomes is he going to stay? Is he going to retire? Obviously, he wants to, go out with a ring, but
another team that kind of makes some sense and it put fear in defenses. Put him in Arizona opposite Marvin Harris. You can make that work. Listen, we're not cap people, so we don't have to make that work. But I'm talking about for fun. Him in Washington with what Jaden Daniels is doing, and Dan would get to cover it. Oh, yeah. So Devontae Adams trade speculation is on as we move. We're a little bit less than a month away from the trade deadline in the NFL, which is November 5th, which actually coincides with Election Day. Apparently, I learned that on the Pat McAfee show this week with Mr. Adam Schefter. All right. So, one of the bigger storylines as we enter week number 5 is there is one team left without a win, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who today looks like they will host Joe Flacco and the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson is doubtful with a hip injury. Dan, my question to you: how do you fix the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Uh, are they fixable though?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know. Third base.
They look. I mean, you have 4 losses on the season, right?
Yep, they're on 4.
So it's like I just don't know how to answer that question because everything has gone incredibly south with that football team.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a quarterback issue. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. Like, do you make a change at coaching? Do you make a change at quarterback? Like something to ignite this club?
They better not hope it's a quarterback issue because they just paid him
Yeah.
$270 million.
I wonder if the coach goes first.
Coach is gonna have to go first. You can't get rid of the guy you just signed. Well, you could, but it's not a good look.
Yeah.
Mark, how do you fix the Jags?
unfortunately, there's no quick fix to this team. I just, I really liked Trevor Lawrence when he came out, what he did over the first few years, but the work has never been developed around him enough. I mean, ETN was supposed to be this all-star running back. He's going to get traded out. They don't really have a number one wide receiver. You got to rebuild, and it's not something every team wants to say, but it's time for Jacksonville to rebuild.
So you're saying get guys like Christian Kirk out of there?
Yeah, start wherever you can start, where you can pick up a pick here, a couple of picks there, maybe make a trade off plan B, stuff like that will be what the Jags is what I see them doing. Doesn't mean what the answer is gonna be. But that's how I would rebuild this team. They still have value. That's the key. You let this keep going, the value on them is just going to keep dropping.
And the thing about value is this team was supposed to be the next big thing.
Yep.
And I think Trevor Lawrence has lost, was it 9 straight starts, 8 straight starts?
It's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. The fact that this team can't, they're finding ways to lose games like they did last week against the Texans, giving up a touchdown to Dare Ogunbowale, who was like a 5th running back on, has been around. I just I don't know what the bright spot is. You paid Trevor to be an elite quarterback. He hasn't been an elite quarterback. Mark, you're right. He doesn't have a number 1 receiver. They overpaid Kirk at the time, Christian Kirk at the time. Now the receiver market's playing out the way it has. They drafted Brian Thomas. He's played fine. They need Evan Ingram back.
Yeah.
This
That's a big
and this
loss. Yeah.
and this defense can't stop a nosebleed.
No.
And that was the same problem they had a year ago.
And it's going to be a rough time for them in the. It's going to be a rough time in Jacksonville today, as it is going to be pouring all day.
Oh, Joe Flacco special. It's going to be raining. Oh, luckily for them, though, they don't have to go up against Jonathan Taylor, who's out with a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
Fantasy killer, Jonathan Taylor. I just don't know. I don't know what the plan is in Jacksonville. They have a lot of issues they're going to have to solve. We'll see if they solve any of them today against the Colts. But to Mark's point, I'm not. I'm laughing at what I just read. I apologize. All right, but you're right. There has to be changes made in Jacksonville. All right, Mark, I'm coming to you with this because this has to do with the Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the historical context here of 2 of the premier franchises in the NFL, the Steelers and the Fighting Jerry Joneses.
Fighting Jerry Joneses could have came up with something better. Come on, you're the pun master.
Listen, CJ Ham just scored a touchdown over Aaron Jones. What do you want from
I
me?
was waiting for, and the Vikings get their ham for the day. I was waiting for something like that from you. Sorry, Dan. Let's talk about the 2 names.
Not a ham, bro.
Let's talk about the 2 names that these teams were named in the 70s. You had the Steel Curtain and you had the Doomsday Defense. That says a lot about 2 teams. That's how good their defenses were. But it never gave names to the offenses. The offenses were amazing for both the Cowboys and the Steelers. So good that they matched up 3 different times in the Super Bowl. The Cowboys and the Steelers are probably one of the NFL's all-time gut-out matchups. And I say that because the NFL goes back to the 1960s, and I'm talking about all the games they've played. This game tonight is a whole different animal than what games were played between the Aikman and Staubach era and the Slash and Terry Pumpkin Teeth Bradshaw era. You're talking about a game of football that relies on 2 different quarterbacks who are 2 almost alike the same. Both can move on the run, both can run the ball, both have a decent defense. Now, Dallas, unfortunately, will be missing Micah Parsons and Tank Lawrence tonight, which is, you can't just replace that. That's not something you blink your eyes and say, you and you, okay, that's going to be an issue. But I don't think this Pittsburgh defense is as good as people think. I'm not taking anything away from TJ Watt. He's still one of the best in the game. This is the first real offense that Pittsburgh is taking on, and it's a non-run offense. If Dallas runs the ball more than 15 times, I'll be very surprised. I think Dak is ready to put the ball up 40 plus times tonight. There's going to be a lot of trick plays, and Dallas knows they cannot lose here.
The thing I'll mention is this: you can't have Tyler Guyton one-on-one against T.J. Watt.
No,
Because
you're going. That's why you're going to see Zeke Elliott in the back with Dak Prescott on that side,
or two tight ends.
Right. We know Zeke Elliott can block, as he has done very well on that. But you leave him there to block, that takes a receiver out of Prescott's area. So Mike is probably right. They'll use the two tight end sets at times to help out, and any way they can to keep the ball away and keep TJ Watt away.
And the only reason why I mentioned Guyton by name was he had a hard time last week against Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yes, he did.
So, who's not related to Tom Thibodeau. Different spelling on the Thibodeaus. But the other side of the ball, Dan, this is a Pittsburgh Steelers team coming off their first loss of the year to the Indianapolis Colts. How do they respond?
Because they didn't prepare for Joe Flacco. They prepared for Richardson.
Yep.
And he got hurt. So, yes, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers got humbled, but it's not going to stop them. This is a good defense. This is a really good defense. And I have no doubt that they're going to, find ways to win and, get back on track. So I'm not worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to win by the defense. And obviously the offense isn't that great, but they're going to win by their defense.
And here's the other thing for me on Pittsburgh. Justin Fields has played so well. He made one mistake last week. That was a fumble that resulted, I believe, in an Indy touchdown. But Mike Tomlin keeps opening the door on Russell Wilson. And I don't know how much more I need to see out of Justin Fields before I say crown him the starter, because he deserves to be the starter. If Justin Fields goes out tonight and he balls out on Sunday night, and the Steelers, no offense, Mark, if the Steelers beat the Cowboys, and the Steelers are 4-1 with Justin Fields, how do you not just say, you know what? Let's ride it. Let's ride the Justin Fields train. All aboard.
Here's the thing. I happen to. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm going to go right to you. I apologize. I am a very big Justin Fields fan. I thought he was brought into Pittsburgh to be used as a trade chip to get picks. I was wrong. If he beats my Cowboys tonight, I will be very upset. But yes, Mike is right. He beats the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. He should be named the starter. Sorry, Dan. I did not mean to cut you off.
It's fine. No, he's the starter. There's no, well, let's wait till we see you against Cowboys. No, he's starter now.
No, I agree with you. I don't understand why Tomlin's leaving the door open. That's the part I've never understood here with Mike Tomlin. Justin Fields.
The reason is, I guess they're non-committal because they know they have Russell Wilson. And he's also a veteran quarterback who's very good. So he's just leaving it open so that it gives the team options in case Justin Fields actually does terribly. But I don't think he's going to be bad.
I don't think he hasn't been bad yet. So, yeah.
Stamp him as a starter, and then Russ can come in garbage time when they're losing by like $1 trillion.
Or, God forbid, things turn the other way and Pittsburgh starts losing. Or, please, gosh, no, because I have 5 rookie cards numbered to 5. Justin Fields gets hurt. That's the only 2 ways I see Russell Wilson ever coming into a Steelers game right now. I don't even think garbage time he should come out.
You're more likely to see Ben Roethlisberger at a Steelers game than Russell Wilson.
You're weak today, Mike.
I wasn't really going for the joke. I was just going for, hey,
Mhm.
there are teams that need a quarterback. Go trade Russell Wilson. That was the plan. All right. So we got an iconic 70s rivalry rematch on Sunday night. Let's stay in the NFC East because the team in first place in the NFC East, it ain't the Philadelphia Eagles. It ain't the Dallas Cowboys. It sure as hell ain't the New York Giants. It's the Washington Commanders.
We are in an alternate reality. I don't know what dimension we went over to, but can we come back to the real one? Because
Here's the
look,
question. Are they for real?
I'm going to answer your question right now. When Jaden Daniels was drafted number 2, and I said this before, I said he should have went 1. All I did was close my eyes and I saw the new touchdown setup of him and Terry McLaurin. That's all I could think about. That McLaurin finally has a quarterback who can reach him 70 yards down the field. Washington finally has a mobile quarterback. This kid is good. Now, to answer Mike's second question, are they the real deal? I think teams don't know them yet. I think they're taking advantage of the fact that they're going out there with a whole new squad and they're playing. The first 5 games, I have always said, is a learning aspect of the league. Whether they go 4-1 or 3-2, they've already won more games than I thought they were going to all year. No, just kidding. I have a true thinking that Washington is a few players away. One of their bigger problems that I see is on that offensive line on the right side. And Daniels is having to move around to the left much, much more. They get that fixed and give Daniels a little bit more pocket time. Washington's going to be even scarier next year.
They can also use a corner. That is another position.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. But their defense has played very well through the first 4 weeks of the season.
Give credit to Dairy Queen Dan Quinn.
Look, we're going back to when Dan Quinn was left, and I said he was going there. I said he's going to make a difference instantly. I've been right. I am claiming that. Dan, quit the goddamn Commanders and come home. We need you back in Dallas. You can kick Michael Hartman in the balls, 2, 3.
I thought you were talking to Dan about quitting and coming back to New York.
I don't know if Dan coming back to New York is going to help the Jets, but we can make Dan the announcer for the Cowboys, and I think Dan would kick ass doing that.
Yeah, definitely not. No, look, Dan Quinn has this team ready. Defense looks good. He made the excellent hire with Cliff Kingsbury, who has been absolutely phenomenal calling this offense. And it's very obvious that Jaden Daniels is bought in. The offense looks in sync. I like this kid Daniels, like this Jaden Daniels guy. They have something with him. They do. And it's only a matter of time if he continues to grow as he is. And he's going to have bad games. But, it's only a matter of time before he becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if it continues, obviously. And we want it to continue because, number 1 pick, like.
The weird thing for me on Jaden Daniels, not that he was number 2 overall pick, it's who he reminds me of. He reminds me of the guy who was taken 2nd overall last year, CJ Stroud.
Exactly.
He's got the big arm going. He's
good comparison.
He's got great mobility. You nailed it, Dan, with the hiring of Kingsbury.
Yes.
That's been so beneficial. Because there have been times with a Washington quarterback, whether they draft him or not, where Washington kind of just abandons part of their play and go, nope, you're going to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. This is a balanced team.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson is off to a wonderful start.
The running game has been terrific.
Running game's been great.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler's going to get a lot of carries this afternoon.
returns.
Robinson, I believe, is a game time decision with an injury.
Yeah.
But they've run the
and
ball.
Even having Eckler, a veteran presence of Eckler.
Yeah.
Massive.
Eckler, McLaurin, Zach Ertz. They have meshed it well offensively.
I know he wouldn't be alive for the award, but you got to Zach Ertz comeback player of the year already. But even though he's not like he came out of retirement or anything, but he's having some start to the year.
Well, yeah, he's honestly become the number 2 passing option for that behind Scary Terry. I mean, we like good stories. And this is why I think Devontae Adams would be a great fit there for this reason. You had a quarterback on a rookie deal. So you could have the ability to afford this. But it'd be the biggest move the new owner, Josh Harris, makes. And because think of the identity of this team. It has changed so much over the last year where we were like, man, they're the same old Commanders with Dan Snyder at the helm. Well, no. There's no more Dan Snyder. There's no more Ron Rivera. There's no more. And I don't blame Ron Rivera for any of the issues. I want to make that clear. But it's a breath of fresh air with this team. It's kind of something you could sink your teeth into and go, awesome, how well they're playing.
Yeah.
So, all right.
One thing I would like to say before you move on, Mike.
Sure, go for it.
I know Dan's watching the game also. Some of the fans are really decked out in gear and not jerseys. I'm talking NFL looking like they got the big chains, they got chef hats, they got all this stuff, and I love it. I love seeing the fans, and it's mostly a lot of kids who are wearing all this stuff, but it's just nice to see. It's not nice that the Vikings are winning 17-0 to Dan's chagrin, but there is another half of football to play.
All right. So, yeah, let's jump ahead.
Yes.
Commanders play the Browns this afternoon in Washington. But let's start with some of the bigger games today. Huge one in the AFC North. All right, I want to know what the face is for, but
good run back, good punt return.
All right. So the first game we'll talk about, big one in the AFC North. We got Lamar and the Ravens coming off that thrashing of the Buffalo Bills. They go to Cincinnati and they play a Bengals team that's coming off their first win of the year.
Here's a team, the Baltimore Ravens, who have it all. I mean, to me, I don't find a weakness on that team. And to not to figure out how they started 0-2 either is really ridiculous. This game means a lot more for the Ravens than it does Buffalo. Buffalo's cruising, not Buffalo.
You mean the Bengals?
Sorry, than the Bengals. The Bengals are, I believe, are 0-4. Am I correct?
No, 1-3.
Sorry, 1-3. Bengals are going to be 1-4. I don't think that this Bengals team is anywhere on the page they used to be. Joe Burrow has not looked well. The lack of a running game, and don't tell me Zach Moss is going to do everything for you because he's not. I think the Bengals are going to get obliterated here. I think Derrick Henry is going to rush for over 200 yards today and have a couple of TDs with it.
Dan?
Talking Bengals, right? I'm watching the game. Huh?
Oh, you know what? I'll let you go. I'll take it.
What Bengals, right?
Ravens, Bengals.
I mean, I had the Ravens winning, but the Bengals are gonna be tough to beat, very tough to beat, because of the fact that they have a good off, because of the fact they have a good offense. Um,
Damn,
Burrow
you went
looks
from
solid.
100 to like a 50.
Burrow looks solid. No,
I'm
because
sorry. I'm trying
Alan
not to
Lazard
yell
dropped
out.
another. Alan Lazard dropped another easy pass and
That
was
was almost
almost
picked off.
intercepted because
Even
Lazard
Rogers is like, what the fuck?
sucks. That's why. No, the Bengals are good. So if I'm the Ravens, I wouldn't take it lightly. But after what we saw the Ravens did to the Bills, Bills are a good team. Bills are a very good team. So what they did to Buffalo, I'm expecting them to compete with the Bengals very much. So that's why I'm picking the Ravens. But don't get me wrong. I like what I see in Cincinnati. It's a shame that they're under 500 right now.
Think about what the Ravens have done the last 2 weeks. What they did to the Cowboys and then what they did to the Bills. It's been the Derrick Henry show. And by the way, Derrick Henry's done this to everybody. I wonder if you're the Bengals defensively, if you consider loading up the box a little bit and then say, you know what? I'm going to dare Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers and the invisible man himself, Mark Andrews, to beat me. I don't know if it'll work, but that might be the defensive game plan. Other side of the ball, I really like what the Bengals have done since T. Higgins has returned because he has opened up this offense for Jamar Chase, which has been very beneficial for Joe Burrow. And the other receiver, Yoshiva, has been huge too. Mark, you're right. The run game has been a non-factor. But if you flip it to the other side with the Raven defense, the job Zachary Orr has done. I mean, this defense last week was all up in the
Yeah.
face of Josh Allen.
But guys, we might be able to open up. I doubt
Who is so mobile. Joe Burrow's doesn't utilize his legs as much, but I would expect a lot of quick stuff from the Bengals offensively.
And I hope it turns out to be a good game. I really do. Because, like Mike, like you said, the moment T. Higgins come back, the game is opened up for Jamar Chase again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, that's what the Bengals were missing, not to mention, a running game. But yes, if T. Higgins can make the difference like he has, then this could be a lot closer than what I'm thinking. But I still have the Ravens to win this one.
I like the Bengals.
Okay.
I like the Bengals at home. There's something about them that just, I think they figured a lot of things out that game against the Commanders, even though they lost. They have to fix a lot of stuff on defense, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I think this offense has figured it out. So I'm gonna roll with the Bengals at home. All right, we got another great AFC matchup in Houston, where the Bills come to play, and it's a Stephon Diggs. I don't know if it's a revenge game or not, but it should be a fun one with the Bills and the Texans. You're talking about two of the strongest armed quarterbacks in the league with Stroud and Josh Allen.
It's a pretty fair assessment. Um, this game, I think you're going to see a huge bounce back from CJ Stroud. You're going to, with the return of Tank Dell, is going to open up the game a little more for Nico Collins. Joe Mixon is still a game time decision. And if that still becomes the question, we'll see Damian Pierce again. But I would look for probably Stroud to be putting the ball up close to 35 to 38 times, 2 touchdowns. But Mike's right. On the other side of the ball, you got the next strongest arm quarterback in Josh Allen, and Josh Allen can run. Josh Allen is a great dual quarterback in which he gets these good open runs and generates first downs, but also generates his receivers getting open. So I hate to instantly say who's going to win this game because it's going to be too close, but I'm saying Houston by 3.
Listen, the way the Bills have played up until that game last week against the Ravens, the Bills have been really good. They're going to be down Khalil Shakir today. Expect a big Dalton Kincaid game. But you know the Texans are going to want to win this one for Stephon Diggs. I'm very intrigued by how D'Amico Ryans deploys his defense. Just based on what Baltimore did last week, are they going to be able to get guys in Josh Allen's face all night? I don't know, but it should be a fun one. CJ Stroud's just been amazing again this year. So
He's
fun
the
one in
real deal.
Houston.
He's the real deal.
He is. That team's the real deal. They're lifting off quicker than NASA. Nothing, huh? All right. All right, we talked a little bit about the Browns and the Commanders before. We got an NFC West showdown too. We got the Cardinals and the Niners.
I feel bad for anybody who is going to be at that park today. It is supposed to be scorching, and it's supposed to be over 110 degrees on the field. That is the prediction for today's game out in San Francisco. So if you're expecting a full go both teams, no, teams are going to play conservatively to reduce the risk of injury to players. I do not see a high scoring game. I see this being, if anything, more of a fourth quarter game when that sun goes down and it starts to cool down a little bit. But the first 3 quarters, I wouldn't give it more than 2 points to either team. I think this could be a very big loss for the 49ers. I don't think with all the injuries they have that those players are going to be able to all go at 100%.
They did get some decent news on Christian McCaffrey. Even though he has tendonitis in both Achilles, they do think at some point this year he will be ready to go. That being said, I'm more concerned about this Cardinal team because I thought they were kind of a sleeper in the NFC. They win that game against the Rams, and then they were very competitive with the Lions. And I was like, all right, maybe the Cardinals are showing something. And then last week at home, they get obliterated by the Jaden Daniels Express. Although the Jaden Daniels Express has been doing that to a lot of people, but I don't know what the Cardinals are.
Neither do I. I'm going to kick this to Dan because I've been talking a lot. The only positive thing I see on the Cardinals is the development of Marvin Harrison Jr. That's it. I like to see him progress more. Danny boy. I think Dan's watching the game. We'll come back to him in a minute.
Well, it is halftime now. It's 17-7.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so I'm making a tweet. What are we talking about?
Cardinals 49ers.
The Niners are going to win. I'm not sold on this Cardinals team. I do like the young receiver Harrison. Obviously I had high hopes for Kyler Murray. I still kind of do. It's fading away slowly, but the Niners are better. And I know they're banged up, but the Niners are better on paper. This should be not necessarily an easy win, but they'll find ways to win this game. As I go back to the Jets right now. Sorry.
Okay. Go ahead, go. We got you.
Yeah.
All right. We got two other games, and then we'll get it out of here. We got the Packers and the Rams in LA today.
Should be a Packers win.
Romeo Dobbs suspended because he missed practice and meetings, all
On
because
purpose.
he didn't
On
like his
purpose.
role.
I was saying on purpose.
Well, I think I read somewhere he was reading that he was in trade rumors online surrounding Devontae Adams, and he was like, "You're gonna trade me even though you don't use whatever." Very weird situation, but I feel so bad for this Rams team and Matthew Stafford. They've been obliterated with injuries. The offensive line, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, the defense has injuries. It's insane the amount of injuries the Rams have had to start the season. But yeah. Packers should win today, Patch. That's for you. And then tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. Saints playing for the first time this year in a game without a roof.
Huh.
How about that one? The Saints go to Kansas City. They'll play the Chiefs and Mahomes. They'll be playing their first full game without Rashee Rice, who is down with a knee injury. Supposed to have some sort of procedure this week to determine how long he'll actually be out, which is very weird because the whole speculation was it was a torn ACL. We don't know right now, what the injury is.
Yeah, I wonder if like the initial testing,
they kept saying the swelling had to go down.
Yeah, I still think the Chiefs are going to win because I think the coaching, they're going to outclass the Saints. The Saints, as good as they've looked, and they've looked a lot better than I thought they would. Ultimately, it comes down to experience, and the Chiefs just have more experience in these big time games, coaching, offense, everything, defense. So even if it's close, I still think the Chiefs pull it out. But that isn't to diminish what we've seen out of the Saints, who have been absolutely dogs so far. Start the season. I love the play out of Carr. Love the play out of Kamara. They're all, they're starting to hone in a little bit. And that's just good coaching. They have good coaching on their hands right now in New Orleans.
Yeah, they finally got a real offensive coordinator in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kubiak. Listen, I love watching this Chiefs team play. I know people say they get sick of them. I love watching Mahomes, Kelsey, but I love this other side of the ball too. Trent McDuffie, who his last name wasn't even named for the beer after the Simpsons beer. I got a crack on that one. I'm good. Chris Jones in the middle. And then you're looking at a guy like Drew Tranquil, and Nick Bolton. They just make plays this defense in Kansas City. Steve Spagnuolo's done a phenomenal job with this defense. Give the Chiefs a ton of credit for, even though they haven't played that perfect game yet, they still find ways, and that is the mark of a good team, finding ways to win.
And speaking of marks, why not I should go? That's how you
off
transition, baby. That's how you transition.
Exclamation mark.
No, I think the two of them really put it all out there when you're looking at this game. If the Saints win, and it's not an impossibility because I don't think the Chiefs look like they did last year at all. If the Saints win, then I agree with Mike that the big target for Devontae Adams is New Orleans. If the Saints can beat the Chiefs, I have no doubt in my mind. Now I agree that that's where you go.
Well, here's the other thing on the Saints. You win this game, the people who don't really believe in you, they're going to start believing. They're going to throw the beads like it's Mardi Gras.
This Saints team is very well put together.
Yep.
There's a weakness. What that weakness is, we'll eventually find out because every team gives it away at some point. It took the New England Patriots to the Super Bowl to show that they couldn't beat the Giants. Every team has a weakness. Right now, the only weakness this team has is kryptonite, and the last thing I've seen on this planet is that product. So,
Kryptonite. All right.
good song.
Yeah, 3 Doors Down.
Bathroom.
Too much information. That'll do it for the Week 5 edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
thank you for allowing me to react.
No problem, dude.
Sorry, I wasn't totally like into it.
No.
And stuff.
No.
I totally get it, Dad. I totally understand.
Mike, I want you to agree with me. I want Eric and Dan to record Angry Jets fan episode.
That would be hilarious.
I mean, if I could have time, I don't know if I can have time, but
I know. Well, number one, it's not
has to align with
Eric.
Let me sign off, and then we can continue this conversation.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That'll do it for this edition of the Sunday Sideline Report. Check us out every week here on the SIN YouTube chat, where you can comment, like, subscribe, click the belly thing for notifications. Check us out on the socials: Facebook, Twitter @SInsanityReal. Check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. For Angry Dan, for the old ops guy, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you all next week here on the Sunday Sideline Report. Enjoy week number 5, everybody. Mambo number 5.